protecting Main Street from Wall Street. It's Chris Hoffman with Money Unleashed.
How much money do you put into your checking account from work on a month-to-month basis? It has a high probability that with your investable assets, we can replace that paycheck.
It's time to put you back in control of your money.
You've worked for 30, 35 years. It's time for you to not stress. It's time for you to enjoy and live the retirement you want to live.
It's Money Unleashed with Chris Hoffman.
Welcome into the Money Unleashed podcast with Chris Hoffman. Got a great discussion for you today, and we appreciate you checking out the show. Make sure you subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. We talk about retirement planning here on the show quite a bit and in great detail, but Morningstar recently shared an economist's best retirement advice. That advice? Don't retire.
I just choked on my cup of coffee here.
I feel like we keep seeing this. We keep reading it. We keep hearing things like this. But, Chris, don't retire is not a retirement plan, is it?
No, it's not. Unless, look, there are people like myself that love what they do.
Sure.
And it's a passion of theirs. But even I'll run out of steam mentally and physically. And I don't think any of my clients would say, yeah, when you're 82 years old, we want you managing our portfolio. So that's why, we hire youth and train them and develop them and they take over. So, but no, not retiring for the large majority of the population. Retirement is an objective. I would say it's when do you want to retire? It's not you can't retire or you shouldn't retire. So the things I work on with my clients are, where are you with work? What's the level of stress you're under? What's the level of enjoyment that you have? Mm-hmm. How hard are you working? How many hours are you putting in? Are you still traveling? Are you still driving to work every single day versus doing some at-home remote type work? And if we can find a way for that client to feel comfortable and it keeps them mentally spry and healthy and engaged every day and they enjoy it, or it's kind of walking toward retirement, then certainly you can take advantage of that. But the other question that I run into quite often with folks that are considering retirement is with couples, they'll say, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
A lot of them are hesitant to spend the money that they've earned, and I don't want them sitting in the house for the first 2 years just biting their nails, worrying about, are we going to run out of money?
Right.
What are the markets going to do to us? And it's not part of the financial planning process, but it is part of just kind of the psychology around retiring. It's how do we prepare them and how do they prepare themselves for that mental transition into retirement? If you wake up and you're used to putting work clothes on or a suit on and going to the office every day and working a full day, well, if that's 8 hours, what are you going to do when you wake up and don't put the suit on? Do you have something you're passionate about? Hobbies. You can't travel every day of every week of every month, right? Nobody wants to be in a hotel for the rest of their life. So you're going to have to make your lifestyle at home, you have to kind of reinvent yourself. And maybe it's not a traditional job, but it has to be something to keep you mentally sharp. And I believe that contributes to your physical well-being too. So I do see cases of clients that become very sedentary, and that is an unfortunate and I believe a dangerous path into retirement. Now, there are other clients that are saying, I have paid my dues 30, 35 years.
Can't wait.
I can't wait. My wife and I, or my husband and I, are still young, and we've got kids and grandkids, and they're not necessarily here locally, so we want to travel and see them. We want to travel ourselves. We have these hobbies or these passions with their church, with charities that they want to become more active in. What about opening your own little company and doing something that you love? And do it on your own time at your own intensity level. But staying active in retirement is critical. I think that's where people would point to maybe not retiring.
Retirement, I think by definition, or at least in concept, is going to be a financial transition. But as you just pointed out, it's a mental transition, an emotional transition as well.
Yeah.
A lot that goes into that.
And what you just said was retirement. So what are you retiring from? You're retiring from a specific job.
Yeah.
And that job should be a very small component of your entire life.
Yeah.
You're not retiring from being married. You're not retiring from your family. You're not retiring from your hobbies. You're not retiring from the things you enjoy. So you're not retiring from life.
Yeah.
You're just retiring from this job that maybe is now exhausting and it's run its course. And I think you should look forward to that. And we're here to help you figure out the path into retirement and to enjoy it. And I always talk about retirement being kind of 3 decades, 3 10-year periods. The first 10 years, you're the healthiest you're going to be. You have the money in the bank. I want you to spend it with confidence. Not all of it, but, enjoy it. Let's generate a ton of income for you. And the growth in your portfolio, if there is any, and we would hope there is, that gets used for the exciting things. The second 10 years is a question. How are you doing physically? How are you doing mentally? How is the market and the investments? How are we holding up? Are we doing well? And then the last decade is where, potentially the health slows down and we need to prepare for those expenses and taking care of you and having you live comfortably for the rest of your life. So not retiring, not an option for most Americans, but we're not retiring from life. We're simply retiring from that job.
And so here's a little bit more from that Morningstar story. The economist is Alicia Monell, and she's the founding director of the Center for Retirement Research at Boston College. So it seems almost counterintuitive that her advice for a successful retirement is not retire. Monell, meanwhile, is 82 years old. She's been postponing her own retirement for decades, and even though she's stepping down from her current role at Boston College, she's going to stay on as a senior advisor. She's also earning a paycheck as a contributing writer for a couple of news outlets. So she's got some things going on, but she also recognizes the simple reality is not retiring is not an option for everyone. There are lots of factors, including health, as you just pointed out, that make it impossible for some. But I'm wondering if the advice that she's trying to give us maybe put a better way, Chris, and that is work as long as you can.
Yeah, and she is retiring as the director of the Center of Retirement Research at Boston College.
Yeah.
So she's reinventing herself, and I think there's a powerful message in that for our listeners and for our clients and our advisory team. It's, again, you're not retiring from life. You may retire as the director of the Center of Retirement Research at Boston College, but you may move into a senior advisory role or something else. So it's not a binary yes or no type of answer. You're going to live, and we need to reinvent how you want to live after you quit work. Let's talk about that. You're resigning from work. You're not resigning from the rest of your life. You're not retiring from enjoying what you want to do and recharging your batteries and living your best life for the next 30 years. That's the difference between saying, don't retire, and people go, ugh, I can't take this job anymore. What do you mean, don't retire? And saying, leave that job and go expand and enjoy, because you got to fill those hours with something, and you don't want to fill them sitting on a couch at the house watching TV, right? There has to be something to keep you mentally and physically active in retirement.
No doubt. And we know that people are living longer than ever now, so working longer isn't exactly a foreign concept. But as you mentioned, you can kind of reinvent what that might look like. And when you work with clients and plan their exit from the workforce, that goal oftentimes is just to help them gain control over their situation with their employer. The Replace My Paycheck Challenge is available and just might change the outlook for people who are trying to figure out the when for their retirement.
Yeah, I just got a text actually from a friend who said, all right, I'm going to take you up on the Replace My Paycheck Challenge. So interestingly enough, he's reaching out to me on a weekend. And he's saying, Larry, I want to see this. The Replace My Paycheck Challenge will, in large part, and this is from historical experience, it will lower your work stress. It happens almost every time, folks. We'll run a full income plan and show you, hey, here's how much income we can generate for you, and that looks a lot like or even exceeds what you take home from your current employer. Because a lot of people feel trapped, like I have to work, I have to make this paycheck, I have to grow my assets. And when you have the answer that is you can replace your paycheck with the assets you've already accumulated, now you're in control. Now you're not going to stress every detail at work. Now you're going to go to your boss and say, eventually I'm going to retire. I like what I do, but I kind of want to slow down. You can have that more engaged conversation because you have the ammunition that if it goes sideways and the employer says, well, that's not going to work. You need to work as hard as you're working now or harder. You can say, no, thank you. I'm not going to be forced into that. Mm-hmm. And it's really satisfying for us to see the confidence that we're able to build in people, and people are able to go back and materially change their working life in agreement with their company, which is very satisfying to us. And it extends their ability to pull a paycheck in. Mm-hmm. It extends their ability to be active mentally and physically, being engaged in work. But it reduces the stress. So let's talk about that for a minute. Let's not call it retirement. Let's call it a stress reduction plan.
Okay.
All right? Let's talk about that. What if we're able to put together a plan that generates income for you, reduces your exposure to risk in all these crazy markets, reduces your exposure and uncertainty to taxes, and basically reduces the stress in going to work? If you could go to work every day and you weren't stressed about the paycheck, wouldn't it look different to you? Wouldn't it feel different for you? I think it would. So let's do a stress reduction plan. For the next 10 callers, doesn't matter whether you have $5 million, $1 million, or $200,000. Let's do a stress reduction plan. Let us put in writing to you an income plan and a full retirement plan. And let's test whether those 10 people walk out of our office less stressed about going to work the next week. I'm going to bet that the answer is yes.
Stress reduction plan sounds pretty good to me, and the fact that it's a complimentary service, that should sound pretty good to those of you out there who might just be on the fence, just kind of wondering, how can I take control? How can I reimagine my situation at work? Even if you love what you do, how would you like to be less stressed while you're doing it? Give us a call to Hoffman Financial Group. Take that Replace My Paycheck Challenge, that stress reduction plan. It can be yours at 404-341-6767, 404-341-6767, and over at unleashyourmoney.com. Just click that button, Replace My Paycheck, and we'll get that stress reduction plan put together for you. Chris Hoffman is an investment advisor representative of Brookstone Wealth Advisors, LLC, a registered investment advisor and affiliate of Brookstone Capital Management, LLC. BWA and Hoffman Financial Group are affiliated under common ownership. Registered investment advisors and investment advisor representatives act as fiduciaries for all of our investment management clients. We have an obligation to act in the best interest of our clients and to make full disclosures of any conflicts of interest. Please refer to our firm brochure, the ADV2A, page 4, for additional information. The Hoffman Financial Group and WSB are not affiliated. Exposure to ideas and financial vehicles discussed should not be considered investment advice or recommendation to buy or sell any financial vehicle. This information should not be considered tax or legal advice. Individuals should consult with a professional specializing in the field of tax, legal, accounting, or investments regarding the applicability of this information for their situation. Any client experiences discussed during the show are unique to that client. They are not meant to imply or suggest you will experience the same results. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. Investments will fluctuate and when redeemed may be worth more or less than when originally invested. Any comments regarding safe and secure products and guaranteed income streams refer only to fixed insurance products. They do not refer in any way to securities or investment advisory products. Fixed insurance and annuity product guarantees are subject to the claims paying ability of the issuing company and are not offered by Brookstone. Index or fixed annuities are not designed for short-term investments and may be subject to caps, restrictions, fees, and surrender charges as described in the annuity contract. Please refer to our firm brochure, the ADV2A Item 4, for additional information. Hoffman Financial Group is not affiliated with or endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency. Insurance licensed in Georgia, number 163546.